Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana Live. You found us wherever you find your podcasts. Hit that subscribe. And it's Sunday. It's 2 p.m. Eastern time. And you know what that means.
We are live on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. My throat chakra is open and I'm ready to talk some wrestling.
Please never say that again. I saw that tweet. Are you referring to Nikita Lyons?
I am indeed, yes.
Yeah, that definitely got my eyebrow raising a little bit. I'm not sure what it means, but I'm also not sure if she knows that other people think it means other things.
Yeah, I think a chakra, isn't that like your like aura, your vibe, your like whimsical wizardry, like, you know, your spiritual gates in your body, like all that bullshit.
I don't know if that's worse than what I thought what it meant, but yeah, throat chakra. That's what we're celebrating here today.
Yeah.
On Poisonrana Live. Yes, hello. Hit that subscribe, hit that follow if you haven't already. Here on YouTube, it's Sunday. We're going to talk about some pro wrestling in the week. I see some people in the chat. We tend to do this every Sunday around 2 p.m. Join us whenever we discuss everything else in the world of wrestling, because Tuesday nights, that's when we talk about Up Next. That's when we talk about NXT. We had a hell of a show this week. NXT had a hell of a show in Philly at the ECW Arena. So check out all our thoughts from that if you haven't already. But I'm sure you have, because that was the talk of the town this week.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of kind of positive stuff, at least from my point of view, when it comes to WWE this week. Some quite noteworthy things across all three shows, and we'll definitely be getting into it. Some announcements with, you know, Elimination Chamber, with WWE ID. Things are really cooking in the Fed right now. So we'll be talking all about that today. We'll be talking about the build to Full Gear, as we are 2 weeks away from that taking place in Newark, New Jersey.
Absolutely. And we're both going to be going to this show. So if any New Yorkers, any New Jerseyans, what do you call New Jerseyites? Jersey Triad, whatever you Jersey people, whoever is going to Full Gear, we will be there. We won't be doing like an event or anything, but we are inviting any listeners and stuff to maybe hang out before the show, because we will be we'll be there getting ready for some Full Gear, some AEW action. However, this is the first time, and maybe only time, the main event for me is on the pre-show. So I will be going in early for this event, and this event only. Think of when was the last time? Although if I think back to Full Gear, I think we made it in just to see Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama. I think it was. I think we slipped in just in time to make.
Was that the last Full Gear we went to? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So yeah. So this time, the main event of the final hour, or whatever they call it, is the Costco guys. So I'm definitely going in early, but we'll have fun in Jersey for sure, and we'll discuss AEW and the whole lead up to this event. And I'm excited. Honestly, we have a lot of friends and people we do shows with, specifically John C. No Evil. I see him in the chat. A lot of our friends are in that area, and it's a big excuse for us to link up and everything. I know our friends Benno and Steph, they're going to be going down to the show as well. So lots and lots of people connecting through wrestling, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I always enjoy going to live wrestling. I can't say I'm stoked about this card, but, you know, AEW have such a great track record when it comes to the actual pay-per-views and the actual match quality, and being there live, being there with a bunch of friends, it's going to be fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll be critiquing the card, giving our thoughts a little later on this show. But yeah, all in all, I'm pretty excited to go. It's Swift season is starting here in the 6th, and I'm preparing for a hell of a 2 weeks, as our bar is incredibly close to the Rogers Center, where Taylor Swift's going to be playing for 6 sold-out nights. So yeah, we're getting all prepared for that at work. I'm working just ungodly hours for the next 2 weeks, so I'm really looking. It's going to be fun. It's a great little financial boost for me before I go away. But I'm really looking forward to the break come New York and when I go home. So
is it like all of her dates in a row, or are they like scattered out?
It's 3 and 3. So I think it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I believe. But
right.
I've already started being like serving some of the roadies who've come along and are setting up the stage and all that stuff. So starting to feel the buzz around here. I did want to get I found this awesome like Taylor Swift Hawaiian shirt with like all her albums all over it. I was like, that would be awesome. It was only like $19 online, but unfortunately it would arrive on like the last day of her tour. So little mad I didn't think about that earlier, because that would have been pretty cool to wear.
Yeah, no, I know people are going crazy for this Taylor Swift. Like, she's just taken over any city, any country she goes to, it becomes Swift mania. So I've seen lots of ads and billboards have been popping up everywhere. I expect the city to just be absolutely crazy. And it already is. Like, we live in Toronto, we're the biggest city in this country, and it already is crazy on a normal day. But now it's like they're blocking off streets and stuff. Like, they're preparing for like a lot of people.
Yeah, there's tailgates at like the car park right next to us, and that kind of stuff. Like tailor gates, yes, I like that.
They tried to block these in Wembley. That's what they blocked them, because they were scared of these threats that was happening overseas. So these the fans that can't afford the tickets, I'm sorry, that's just the truth. They all tailor gate outside the venue and sing together. Like, it's been a thing through this whole tour. I've seen it on the news. And they blocked it at Wembley because they were just too nervous of like with the stuff that was happening. But it's crazy. Like, seeing this artist like completely take over is nuts. Think like we go to like these big WWE stadium shows. We'll get there in a sec with some announcements, but like, she's doing 3 in a row. Then the next week, 3 in a row, filling stadiums all over the world. And only, select few of artists can do that these days. We went over and saw The Weeknd in Wembley as well. Like, some of the big artists are doing stadium shows. Yeah. And it's so crazy. So,
and all in all, it's, I know there are going to be Swift haters out there that are like, all these Swifties around, but it's good for the city. It's good for the economy, all that sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. TIFF, the film festival, is always a good time for us, and I feel this is a little bit like that. So it should be good. Even busier.
It feels like she's the biggest thing in anything in a long time. Like, comparisons to Michael Jackson level aura of just people want to be at the show, people want to be around anything related to her, right? So pretty good, pretty cool.
Yeah, her throat chakra is definitely ready to go, I think.
Yeah. If you're referring to maybe the singing,
exactly.
That's what it means, right? Yeah. Great. So yes, Taylor Swift coming soon to Toronto to take over. Should we do best match ever, Taylor Swift?
Sure.
If they ever got her into wrestling, it'd be a wrap. Like, that'd be Jeff Jarrett's definitely tried for the past few years, I'm sure. The Wembley especially. But that's pretty cool. But she's at the Rogers Center, the Sky Dome for real Torontonians. But WWE announcing the first time since 2002 they will return to the Sky Dome with WWE Elimination Chamber coming here to the 6 in a stadium. Wow, right on our doorstep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's these things we've seen in the past could always be a little bit of a test to see how it'd be for future bigger events, but I think WWE has outgrown the Scotiabank here in Toronto. We went to Money in the Bank last year, was packed. Ticket prices were insane because there was such high demand. I think you can definitely have, maybe not fill it, but 30, 40,000 in there will look great. And I think they're capable of it right now. I think they're hot. John Cena already announced in Toronto last year when he said about his retirement tour, he said, my last Royal Rumble, my last Elimination Chamber. So already that's a big name we know is going to be performing on that show. Everything that's cooking with the Bloodline stuff, I'm sure that's going to have heavy involvement in this show. Maybe an appearance from The Rock, who knows? But yeah, I think this is great. I think I'm hoping, I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but I hope it means maybe a little bit more affordable if they're trying to pack this thing.
Pack it.
So hopefully a little bit better on price-wise than than Scotiabank, but we'll see. Like, I think Toronto's a high demand city. You know, you've got like Quebec isn't far, so you have all your fans from there. You get all your fans from like Buffalo and upstate New York and that kind of thing, and other people that just want to travel in for these events. So I think it'll be a hot ticket. I'm super excited to seeing wrestling there, a venue we've both been to a bunch for, you know, concerts and Blue Jays games and things like that, and watching Rock Hogan growing up and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm super stoked for this.
Toronto's one of the biggest wrestling cities, full stop, and the biggest in Canada, and they haven't done a show in this Sky Dome since 2002. I mean, that's crazy. It's a lot of people. They still hold the record for that stadium, if I'm not wrong there. I'm pretty sure UFC did not beat it, but that's like, that's crazy. That
I believe it was, yeah, I think it's the 2 WrestleManias and then Justin Bieber.
Wow.
We'll see after the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's how it always was.
But yeah, like WWE, whenever they come with pay-per-views here, like Money in the Bank last year, it was pretty busy. It was completely like sold out event, essentially. I'm pretty sure I remember it being pretty packed in there. Every time they do Raw and SmackDowns lately, it's pretty busy. Like they're on a hot streak.
Even house shows, like going to the Christmas house show last year, like it was packed.
It's always packed at these shows, so it kind of makes sense. And for a pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania, like, yeah, it makes sense to fill this thing, because if they don't sell it out, I think they'll get pretty close to selling it out. And with the history,
it'll look sold out, you know, like the way once they know their numbers, the way they do the stage and all that kind of stuff, it will definitely look full there.
It'll be completely packed. I think having, you know, John Cena's retirement being a big part of this show will add ticket sales to that. Having The Rock even slightly being teased to return to the Sky Dome, I think is also a pretty big deal in itself, like all these years later. I hate to say it, but you might even see Hulk Hogan show up for an appearance, considering the last time they were in this arena, this stadium, right? So like there's things like that I think they'll try to make special. For me personally, I don't really like the Elimination Chamber. Like I don't want to watch it live, because it kind of looks like it sucks to kind of watch in person. And like, I'm just being the negative Nancy, or the devil's advocate for a second, if you will. I know Toronto, we're not getting a WrestleMania. I don't. You have your hopes up all you want, but the Sky Dome is too small. It's like I could
certainly see a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble or something like that.
Sure, they've come here with SummerSlam, they've come here with Survivor Series, now Chamber, but WrestleMania, we're not going to get it. So this is the biggest, like, hey, this is the best we got for you right now. So I guess we got to take it, right? It's like, okay, like think WrestleMania, the build last year was like crazy awesome, and you had so many factors: CM Punk coming back, The Rock coming back, like all these things. You're gonna have that this year. You're gonna have the mania, the craze of everything going into WrestleMania season. So having a stadium show for this Elimination Chamber show makes complete sense, and they're gonna have a wild, loud and rowdy Toronto crowd.
Well, I think that's what makes it a hot show. Yeah, I saw the Elimination Chamber in Montreal, and like visibility wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like I thought I wasn't going to be able to see a thing, but you could see enough. But I think mainly it being like that last pit stop before WrestleMania, you're having all the final pieces being put together. I think that's what makes it exciting. You know, you find out fully who the number one contenders are, who the champions going into Mania are, and whether they do a big singles match as well, like we had in Montreal with Sammy and Roman. There's always the possibility for that on top of it as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to go.
Like, okay, so you could do Cena versus someone. You could put Cena in the chamber for all.
I think Cena will be in the chamber. I think the way he, I think you could do the similar to he did that. What was it? WrestleMania 34 when he ended up facing Undertaker, where he keeps on trying to find his way to get to Mania. So he doesn't win the Rumble. He then has the Elimination Chamber. I think you can tell a similar sort of story. Possibly even win the Chamber to challenge Gunther, maybe.
Right. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, I guess. But I feel like the stuff with the Bloodline, that'll still be going on. Like, again, The Rock showing up, I'm sure, is a big thing. Whether Cody is defending against Kevin, Randy, Cena at that point, who knows what we could potentially get. But The last time they were there was Rock v Hogan, right? So I mean, you could do a sort of Cody versus Cena kind of match,
Yep.
like like a current superstar versus a more like older generation. That is something that they could potentially do right there. So.
Like you could have Cody defend it in the chamber, and you could do like Cody, Cena, Sammy, Kevin, Randy, and Rock.
It's not
like
Rock
that
Rock would technically be the only hometown hero we have on this show.
Yeah, kind of.
Kevin and Sammy, they're not real Canadians. They're Quebecois. No, I'm joking. But they're not, we claim them when WWE comes here because Canadians support Canadians. But we don't have like Toronto. They all went to AEW, so I can't even think of a Toronto Ethan Page adjacent. But like he's not.
I could see you doing something like. I mean, that would be hugely star-studded. But maybe even have it where it's someone else instead of The Rock who gets taken out earlier in the night, and you have that pod just empty until the final person, and then his music hits and just comes out and wins, goes into Mania as champion to defend against whoever.
Yeah, there's a lot of time between now and March 1st, but it's pretty crazy for the city. I saw like it got picked up everywhere. All the news outlets and everything were like, "Hey, like they haven't done a wrestling event here since in this stadium so long." So it got a lot of people talking, and I think you'll get like even the casuals being like again, hopefully the tickets aren't insane, which they probably will be. It's fucking WWE in 2024, but I think you'll gain a lot of people being like, "Oh, we got to go to this. It's in town," kind of thing. So
yeah,
power to them for doing this. Like it's so awesome. It's such an important venue, especially in the world of wrestling. But we got to get some Blue Jays appearances. We got to get Bo Bichette in there. We got to get all the Toronto.
I'd be keen to get one of those standing tickets. Because you've got all those like standing room bars, which I assume would be open.
That's what I did.
We saw it in Philly, right? Those standing tickets.
It was so cool. Philly, like having the standing tickets. It was a party all over the stadium, like in those sections, and you still can see everything. Sometimes even clearer than what seat you actually got with pillars and cameras and stuff like that. But going to the Rogers Center, the Skydome, just this year, just a few months ago for Blink 182, it was completely like sold out, and then there was standing areas, and they were so cool, like just walking around and still being able to see. So I'm really excited that the WWE is bringing this big show too. I'm bummed. Hopefully we get the announcement that we're getting a Rumble, because we deserve if we're not getting WrestleMania, we need a Rumble in Toronto. So
I could see in 2026 maybe a SummerSlam or a Rumble.
Still won't be a Mania.
Or 27, yeah.
We need a new stadium before we get a WrestleMania, but we ain't getting that. So, unfortunately.
I mean, you got the Downsview one for the next few years, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's suitable for wrestling.
Yeah, I just won't cut it, unfortunately. Maybe Maple Leaf Gardens. Do a little show there. Or maybe another company will be doing a show there before WWE does. I think
NXT and Maple Leaf Gardens would be awesome.
I was referring to Maple Leaf Wrestling. I think it's like you saw their show, their promo videos were really highlighting that venue for like the history of wrestling and stuff. So I think that would make a lot of sense as well. But yeah, wrestling fans, there's a lot of them in Toronto and in Canada. So keep on bringing the shows, WWE. AEW, let's announce some stuff here too. Like we need keep going. And then now that WWE's got machine guns, like those Detroiter people and fans will come up here to watch those guys and stuff too. So yeah, lots and lots of good stuff. I was really shocked that we're getting the Rogers Center show, but I'm really, really excited. And for anyone, we cooking something up. We cooking some things up. We got some plans for some fun for Elimination. Unfortunately, Elimination Chamber is the worst name to try to parody for an event like we've done in the past. Like All In It. What was the last? The Cash In.
Yeah.
Forbidden Pour. We couldn't forget about that one. That one was a stretch, but Elimination Chamber, the best I got is Inebriation Chamber. Even that doesn't really roll off the tongue, but we'll work on that. But yeah, anyone interested in coming to the 6 in Toronto? Yeah, I'm excited.
Hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited. I'm also really excited about some of the other podcasts that we've been doing. And I got to throw in some cheap plugs here for patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5 to become a friend to get access for a whole month of all the podcasts that we have done in the back catalog, all the retro wrestling pay-per-views, movie reviews, everything is up on there, including Best Match Ever, Motor City Machine Guns, Best Match Ever, Abyss, where we look at the best of their matches throughout their whole history to get you caught up on them if you haven't. And we even supply a playlist of different matches. We've recently done Halloween Havoc 1995, the monster truck match, which was awful, which
terrible.
Also has the Yeti, which just made for a hilarious review, I'm sure. So those are some of the shows that we have done recently. Also, just recorded a very lengthy show, but a very epic John Cena title reign needed a very epic John Cena podcast, where we did episode 3 of The Champ Is Here.
Yeah, I'm super proud of this show. I think it was great. I think our guest, our Emmy award-winning producer and host of the Ruthless Aggression podcast on the Barber's Chair Network, Pierce Roberson, joined us, and we've been having great feedback, especially about Pierce as well, who we've been wanting to do a show with this guy for a long time, and he fucking killed it. He was great. He knew his stuff. Like his whole podcast was going through the whole Ruthless Aggression era, week by week, of WWE. So the perfect guest to talk about this very lengthy John Cena title reign. We go just short of 3 hours. We cover the whole build to him reclaiming that title at Unforgiven in Toronto in a TLC match against Edge, and then the long 380-day reign that ends with an unfortunate vacating of the title. But yes, super happy with this show, and I implore you all to give it a listen.
Yes, absolutely. Like episode 1 was awesome. Episode 2 was great. And then episode 3 is like the really long reign of John Cena. Like you said, 380 days we cover, including Umaga, Randy Orton, Kevin Federline.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We talk about it all. This was a great show. And yeah, it was really long, 3 hours, but I was so happy with it, and appreciate all the feedback that we got for it already. But again, you get this show, you get episode 2, 1, you get all the other shows that we do, and it's only $5. And I mean, $5 for this show alone is great. We're going to be going through month by month every John Cena title win.
Yeah, we're actually going to be dropping another one this month, because we missed last month due to it being spooky season, and I can announce we'll be joined by Josh Nason from the Wrestling Observer newsletter and Limitless Wrestling podcast. He's going to be joining us for Title Reign 4, which is actually John Cena's first World Heavyweight Championship. We'll be talking about the feud with Chris Jericho, and then the build to that Elimination Chamber match. This will be a much shorter show.
Yes, a lot more compact, but we also like to talk to our guests about favorite Cena moments, matches, shirts, songs, etc. So it's a big John Cena love fest, and it will be for the next months, 16, 17 months. Hopefully he wins another world title so we can talk about it.
And who knows, maybe star of Ant-Man and End of Watch, Michael Pena, will show up again in episode 4.
If you know, you know, and if you don't, you got to listen to the show to witness something very hilarious that I won't spoil.
Definitely not a Make-A-Wish kid. Absolutely.
Definitely didn't make it up either.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't make up a Monday Night Raw either. Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff and how great wrestling was in 2007. How everything was fine and nothing went wrong at all in 2007. But that was a fantastic podcast. Really great chat with Pierce there, and I hope you can all check it out and listen and continue our journey through John Cena and his retirement tour. But you get all those shows, you get all the other shows that we've done, including tons of different movie reviews. We're working on a little bit of a schedule now with some upcoming stuff, and I'm sure you'll like what we got going on there in the next few months, as we always like. And then it's the end of the year, and then we got to start thinking of best and worst ofs and all that kind of stuff. But the grind never ends.
Nope. Never.
Poisonrana on all your socials, even Blue Sky. I think you created a Poisonrana Blue Sky.
Yes, poisonranapod.bsky.social. I hope they get around to kind of shortening.
Yeah, they should fix that
a little bit. But yes, you can find us over on there, and our Facebook group, as well, Poisonrana. Search Poisonrana on Facebook. You'll find the page that will take you through to our private group where you can share your memes and your wrestling thoughts and promote whatever you got going on. We do have a poll going up because with Survivor Series around the corner, we want to do either a classic Survivor Series pay-per-view or a classic War Games event or a classic event take place in Vancouver. And this is going to be a bit of a flash poll. So we might even announce the results at the end of this show. So get over there now and vote. We have WWF Survivor Series 1999. That includes the hit and run attempt on Stone Cold Steve Austin, leading to a three-way between Triple H, The Rock, and The Big Show. We've got WCW Wrestle War 92, which included the 5-star rated War Games match between Sting, Squadron, and the Dangerous Alliance. We also have WCW Full Brawl 1996. I've written two different things down here, but it's the NWO of Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, NWO Sting, and Scott Hall taking on Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Lex Luger, and the real Sting. Also Jericho versus Benoit and Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Super Callow. And WWF In Your House 26, Rock Bottom, Steve Austin versus The Undertaker, The Rock versus Mankind, and the New Age Outlaws versus The Corporation. We have a tie in first place
I picked that one because that was the last time WWE did a pay-per-view, if you can even call it that, because it was in your house in Vancouver. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Here I am talking about how WWE comes to Toronto like once a year, multiple times a year. Vancouver, they do a lot of house shows. You get SmackDowns. You never get a WrestleMania. I know that one guy has that sign a lot of the times. Keep holding it up, buddy. But they haven't done a pay-per-view in Vancouver in like forever. So this was the last one I could find. So I thought I'd add that to the list. But please go and vote on the tadpole to figure out what show we're going to do. The power is in your hands. It's just like Cyber Sunday or Taboo Tuesday, except it's tadpole on the Poisonrana. So go join the Facebook group if you hadn't and join in on the chat. And if you're moving away from Twitter, follow us on the Facebook, follow us on the Instagram. I see a lot of you use Instagram. Go give us a follow. We post and share stuff, especially when we go live and fun wrestling shit and stuff. So at Poisonrana Pod, and go give us a little follow there. Appreciate all the love. Also, I got a shout out because the last few shows in Toronto, I had to work and I couldn't go to Demand Lucha. I was really bummed. I know you went and you still had an amazing time because that's our favorite shows to go to in the city. I got to plug their next one because I know I have it off. I made sure I have this one off because December 19th, Thursday, 2024 at Parkdale Hall, Toronto, Lucha, a very merry Lucha Christmas show. And Davie, this one might be the best one ever, simply because of this one match. Okay, there's a few matches that look like bangers, but Davie, Gringo Loco, our boy, taking on Sidney Akeem, formerly known as
Scripps. Amazing.
Scripps versus Gringo Loco.
He better bring that gear back. The proper Scripps gear. I don't want any of this hood gangster script. I need the old school scripts, the real scripts, the tissue paper mask.
Do you think the mop head thing that he had?
We need it. Bring it.
I wonder if he does meet and greets with the scripts like gear on. That match sounds
hopefully
awesome.
They're selling them like to add to the set.
That match should be crazy. Also, newly signed to WWE ID, Jack Summit, a.k.a. Jack Cartwheel, taking on Lince Dorado in the title unification match. So those two matches alone,
what date is this again?
This is December 19th.
Perfect. Let's get our Santa hats ready.
Oh, yeah.
And let's go to this. That sounds so much fun.
Yeah, please go to luchamarket.com or check out Demand Lucha on all the socials. You'll always find us at these shows, and they are so much fun. Anyone in Toronto knows this is the most fun you have at independent wrestling in the city. And I mean, those two matches alone sound like so much fun, but the shows are always so much fun. So definitely can't wait to see that. So lots of wrestling going on in the world.
All the wrestling.
Yeah, and then we'll be hitting up Full Gear when we're in New York. Do we got to get a cheeky ichi ran, a sneaky ran?
Oh, the ramen.
Sneaky ichi.
It's so good. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. Like I spent so much money there last time just getting the extras. I'm like extra broth, extra noodles, extra meat, and no regrets. Maybe that's
Poison Ichiran, Poison Ichirana. We'll work on that. But yeah, I was just thinking of that because when I went, I got they had the to-go ones, like the kits, the at-home kits, but buy one get one. So we bought a bunch of them.
Nice.
And like they were pretty good too. But I'm like, oh man, I want some of that. So yes, follow us on all the journeys that we got with all the wrestling. And if you are going to any of these shows, let us know. We love to say hi, and we love seeing all our listeners and peeps at all these shows. A ton of them show up at Demand Lucha, and we have so many friends there when we go now, like hanging out and watching wrestling. And I'm sure it will be the same with Full Gear and Elimination Chamber and all these things. So appreciate the love in this post-wrestling Poisonrana community. Where do we want to start today with some wrestling?
I think the most newsworthy show this week was SmackDown, I would say.
I agree.
Let's
totally agree. Let's talk about some WWE. SmackDown. You did talk about Raw a little bit on Up Next, and you mentioned the main event was great.
It's weird. Like wrestling is just weird at the moment. Kind of, I'd say shows are serving different tastes for different things right now. I wouldn't think I'd say that Raw probably, in my opinion, might have had the best wrestling this week across the board with that Chad Gable Dragon Lee match and that 4-way main event. I thought they were both really, really great. And the wrestling quality is always good in AEW, but like I can't say anything really stood out to me this week. I haven't had a chance to catch Collision. Maybe there was something there, but for me, those two matches on Raw were a real highlight. And if you didn't listen to Up Next this week, I thought the women absolutely killed it on NXT this week with that crazy 10-woman tag at the end, and also Jada Parker Lola Vice in a pretty fun hardcore match at the beginning, which I think we're going to get into these new titles being announced. But the women absolutely killed it this week. So a weird thing to say that the actual wrestling content, I think WWE might have had the W this week, but when it comes to SmackDown, a very angle-heavy, story-driven episode, but I thought it was all the better for it this week, and I really, really enjoyed this week's SmackDown.
Yeah, I feel like the Bloodline stuff for what feels like years now has been on and off, and then like there's weeks where it's just like kind of treading water, a little repetitive. But right now, like we kind of could see the writing on the wall of War Games coming up, and well, here's one team and here's another team, kind of the most popular thing going in wrestling in the last little while. So it feels like full steam with Roman back coming out to kick things off. It feels kind of big. I know our friend Graham was trying to convince us to go to SmackDown. I think he would have been in. He didn't end up going, but like it was in Buffalo for us. Right? Like,
I wish I realized like 2 or 3 weeks ago that was in Buffalo, because I'd have totally moved things around, because they got a hell of a show, I thought.
So like like for me, like the Bloodline stuff is repetitive. You got the Temu, the fake Bloodline, like kind of taking over, but it's still good. And like I like Solo as being the shit version, because he's trying so hard to like be the replacement of Roman, and it's working for me.
It's interesting. I think really in the last month, he's moved away from being like the silent enforcer kind of character, and I think he's shown the most personality we've ever seen from him. And the stuff like a few weeks ago with Jay, like I got my ticket, and being bit more of a shit. It's working. It's unlocked something in him. Still don't particularly rate him in ring, but I think it was a needed character change to make this Bloodline seem a bit more of a force, and being able to go toe to toe in the actual like acting segments, if you will. And then you've got Jacob Fatu, who can pick up the rest. What Solo lacks, Fatu has.
He's great. He's so believable. Like he's just beast. He's so scary. He's like unpredictable. They do a great job of commentary of making it seem like they're scared of him as well. Like, so then we should be scared of this guy. Again, like Roman kicking things off, and then having the segment with Sami Zayn and the Usos kind of all in the ring together, and Sami looking for that apology. Sami fishing for the like the smirk on his face. He got them to, it felt like an old Bloodline promo.
He was getting them to crack.
He popped them all individually. They're just like trying to hide it like an SNL sketch, like, oh man. But it was so good. And Roman not wanting to apologize, but not to Sami. Sami said, you need to apologize to Jimmy. Is it Jimmy or is it Jay? Jay, right? You need to apologize to him before me. And Roman kind of being hesitant on that and still being a bit of a hothead. Made for some good stuff. At least that opening segment, I was like, oh, that was really good. And then it like ramped up even more towards the end. If we kind of jump to the main event segment where you have Roman and Solo, which again, I thought Solo, he's breaking out a bit more of an original character, like at least promo wise, I think he's pretty good. Maybe I just really like the weekend look he's got, like the glove and the thing. But I thought that was good with Roman, like saying like, oh, I'll face you and the challenge, but war games, and there's only 4 of us and 1 of you. And then the big save with the swerve of, hey, Sammy's actually on our team is like, wait, why would he be on your team? But the like swerve and then the kick and everything. I thought it was such a well done segment to finally end with Sami and everyone doing the pose with the 1-up. It was cinema, as the kids would say.
Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really strong stuff. I still have the criticism. I kind of made it was either on last week's Poisonrana or up next, where it feels very like Game of Thrones, where the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, it takes them forever to get from one location to the next. Yeah. And then the final season is like, we got to finish this. And they're hopping around and they're killing each other off. And they're the queen, they're the king, he's the king. It feels very like that, where we do still have a month to go, and I feel you could have built a bit more of, if you want to go with this thing, whose side is Sami on, you could have maybe tried to build that for another week or so. Like there is history with Solo and Sami from the Bloodline, obviously, and I think we don't remember that quite as much because he was always like, it was the Jay stuff all the time. So I think you could have built that more. I feel this could have been told over maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It felt like, right, we got to get Sami in there now. And the stuff I do appreciate is, I like that Roman isn't just, hey, I'm a good guy now. I like that he's still, you saw elements of his old character, his manipulation, his refusal to admit he's wrong, his refusal to even apologize to Jay. And the stuff with Jay being like, that's your one pass. You don't get another. I like that. I like Jay stepping up, and I like Roman is going to have to eventually see these guys as equals and not that he's superior to them. I just hope now we've had all the fingers in the air. I hope it's not forgotten. I hope we do build to an eventual apology from Roman to Jay, from Roman to Sami, because I think they are a little bit too forgiving. Because if I was Sami Zayn, I'd be, fuck you. Like, I know he's doing it to help Jay, but no, you were awful to me for a long time. So I hope we still have elements of that. But from just an entertainment point of view, from a performance point of view, just there's some absolute magic with these 4. Roman, I still kind of find it really hard to believe that this is the same guy who was doing Tougher and Succotash and all that, because his acting is incredible as far as like wrestling acting goes. And Sami is just, whenever he's on the mic, he's so believable. And we've been saying that right back to the What's Next days, where he's cutting promos in NXT. He's so good on the microphone. And as you said, the little smirks, him trying to get them crack and things, it took you back to those segments. And I think these are the things where make the TV is always more memorable for the moments than the matches. I think the killer matches that you remember are on pay-per-views. But if we think back, you remember Austin with the beer truck. You're not necessarily remembering a random Austin singles match on Raw. And I think these are things where this segment this week is, I think people will talk about a long time from now.
It was the reunion of the original Bloodline, right? Like you got all of them back together, the four of them with the iconic photo, the end with the pose. Like it was really perfect. And now going into War Games, which is a few weeks away, I see what you're saying. Like it kind of feels like they fast tracked it, but maybe they wanted to hit over the head. Like, hey, you're getting this match. Don't start speculating if we're getting this match. You're getting this match.
You're getting this match. Yeah. I wonder as well, because in the promo videos, they've said 5-on-5.
Yes.
And Solo said you won't be able to find 4 members, and I've got 5. Whether they just abandon that and do the 4-on-4, or are we going to get, it's been reported that Lance Anoa'i's like checked into the PC. There's Hikuleo kicking around. The Rock, obviously.
The Rock, yeah.
Do we see this being a 4-on-4 or a 5-on-5?
I think it might just make sense to do the 4-on-4 and then you have The Rock show up at the end of the match as like, just, I don't know, it like to help them win, essentially, is what I think they might end up doing. Because I just don't know who you'd want to slot in with, whether it's already like the people you just mentioned, but like it kind of wouldn't make sense. Like you only have a few weeks. And
I agree, but I just wonder if the fact we're like three weeks away, whether that's why they're telling this Sammy joining them now rather than in a week or two, because we still got to fill out the teams. I agree. I think it feels cleaner, the 4-on-4.
Yeah.
Like it always felt weird, when we have like Judgment Day, Andrew McIntyre. You're like,
yeah, I don't want that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want that. Yeah.
So as long as you can make it make sense.
Cody would have made sense, but I kind of like that he's not associated with this right now. Like I don't want him involved with this just because it's like, hey, you've done this for too long. But it does kind of make sense, like if he were to, but I think they've moved past that with Owens and stuff. But yeah, I think you just do 4-on-4, and then the big reveal is, oh, you guys only got 4 people. Yeah, we actually have 5. And then it's The Rock, and he comes out. He doesn't need to do anything. Maybe even just hit a rock bottom. Maybe even just pose, at the ramp.
I mean, you can. It's more plausible or more believable which side is The Rock on rather than which side Sammy's on. So you can have that moment, can't you, with him in between Solo and Roman, and who is he going to rock bottom?
Like, what if, like, the new Bloodline, the Solos camp is in, they're beating down on the good guys, the OG Bloodline. Sounds ridiculous. And then The Rock comes out, and you think like he's there to save them, but then no, I'm just here to also beat them up as well. Exactly. I think that would be what the big like spin of this all is, because The Rock can't come back and be a babyface.
And Survivor Series ends with Solo removing the Ulafala and putting it on The Rock.
Oh, there you go. Cinema. Vancouver, you're in for a treat. We definitely talked about this. This is the biggest War Games where it's not just, hey, it's War Games time, so we better like pick 5 people against 5 other people. It's like, no, this has been brewing for quite a while. So I think they're in a bit of a perfect storm with this War Games match. And again, having Sammy with the Bloodline, doing the pose, all the feels, we're all ready. Like this is going to be one of the big watch shows, I think. Just having this storyline alone coming to a big part of it, a big chapter of it will involve War Games and The Rock and Sami Zayn and all these things. So all these little pieces connecting. I'm really excited about it. And like, I think there's been lots of times where it's just been repetitive and kind of boring and like, okay, where is it going? We're just waiting for this to happen. It feels a little juicy since this segment, closing SmackDown. So I'm looking forward to this match. And I'm looking forward to The Rock being back in the fold for WrestleMania season and stuff. Cause I still can't get over like his run last time. And another little like cherry here or Easter egg is, Solo was quoting him when he was beating him. What was it that The Rock said to Cody when he was beating him? Like, look at you now.
Oh,
look
yeah.
At you now, boy. Yeah. Solo was like repeating the same verbiage that The Rock was using. So like, I think it kind of clicks. And remember the fan video, like, hey, it's all part of the plan. So,
Chris Elliott reminding us that you've also got Heyman to come back and what side he's on. So, I mean, he'll be OG Bloodline,
but
that he should be coming back for Survivor Series, right?
Put him in the cage. He's in the match.
especially it being a war games, like we just said, Dangerous Alliance, the Sing Squadrons on our poll, like one of the, well, it is the highest rated war games of all time, and having Heyman involved, we need him there. We need him.
So I assume he aligns himself with Roman and not The Rock, because The Rock doesn't need Paul Heyman to cut his promos for it. Neither does Roman, really, but I think Paul Heyman might also complete the package there.
But that's something you can play around with as well, like the Heyman, he has his Rock phone and his Roman phone, like a bit of a callback to his big cell phone he used to have, but that could be something during the match. He's on his phone, like, oh, is he calling The Rock?
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something that could happen. I'm looking forward to it. I forgot. I thought that maybe he would have returned at already at this point, considering the storyline of how he was taken out. But I imagine he comes back very soon as well. Yeah. Before War Games, probably, right? Like, they still got
I would think maybe the SmackDown before he finally comes, and you've got the actual Bloodline reunited.
Yeah. But no, that was good. And again, I'm loving how the new Bloodline also is like becoming a bit more like feels complete, feels better. Like Jacob Fatu, obviously, like really putting them together as a whole. But even the other two, who I'm not a big fan of, like they've managed to get themselves over and pretty like established.
You've got more like 4 distinct personalities now. Your cocky shithead leader, your just wild Samoan who's the enforcer and takes out everyone. You got Tamatonga doing it, and then you got the other one with no personality. No personality is a personality.
So wait, which one is which again?
Tongalo is the shit one.
Tongalo is Ringo Starr.
Oh, bless him.
And then who's Ringo in the OG Bloodline?
Does that mean Tongaloa will narrate Thomas the Tank Engine one day? A reboot?
Yeah, Tongaloa's all-star band.
Yeah.
Tongaloa is not even the worst at botching in that group. No. What's the joke about Ringo? He's not even the best drummer.
Is Ringo Starr the best drummer in the world? Ringo Starr isn't even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Yeah. Tamatonga, bless him. Yeah, I really liked this whole segment with all the Bloodline stuff, and like I think that says a lot because I've been pretty like fatigued from it. But seeing this come into play, I'm like, all right, let's get to this match, let's do it. So really, thumbs up for me on that angle. But was it the best angle on SmackDown? Because there was another one that was pretty damn good.
Yeah, the Randy Orton Kevin Owens segment, I loved this right from the start. Randy, who's normally, the slow stroll to the ring and everything, just like power walking to the ring, which right away just added this different level of intensity that we're not used to.
What? So you're saying this guy could always walk to the ring this fast?
Yeah.
And just for years, he's been making us watch him walk slowly? God damn it, Randy. Also, his voice was like shot out or something too, which kind of added to the like, I don't even want to fucking talk because I can't. I just want to fight you. I was like, oh shit, okay, what's going on here?
And then Owens just coming out with that dead look on his eyes. We obviously have the big pull apart and the pile driver, which I thought this whole angle was great. The stretch job with Randy, like groaning, not being able to breathe, like his neck is fucked.
I'm watching this, right? And in the other room, my girlfriend's playing her Switch, but I had the volume on pretty loud, and you just hear Randy going, and my girlfriend's like, Is the cat puking somewhere? What's that noise? I'm like, no, it's just Randy Orton dying on TV. Sorry, it was really loud. His poor throat is even worse now.
But I think this was, we actually mentioned on our Cena show about that the last time the Piledrive was pulled out, and it was the John Cena CM Punk match from Raw in 2013, going into WrestleMania 29. And so many people love that match. And a lot say, yeah, that Money in the Bank match is great, but I love that Raw match. And I think something that's so memorable about it is that pile driver. And that's why people still remember it. And, I think this is good evidence for those people who are pro protecting moves. And you can't just be no selling pile drivers and destroyers and that kind of thing, because the Piledriver looked pretty safe, but the way they sold it and made it feel like a big deal. And I was watching with someone who doesn't watch any other wrestling. And they were like, whoa, what was that? Like, they strongly reacted to it because it's something we don't see. And Michael Cole's selling it. There's a reason that move is banned in WWE. I thought the whole angle was great. And using blood sparingly, using dangerous moves like this sparingly, it adds so much. And I thought the reward was huge here and makes me so much more interested in this match. And I thought it was a fantastic angle.
Yeah, Kevin Owens did great. Randy did great. I feel like the whole mixing the reality of, like, if you're a hardcore fan, you'd be like, whoa, he did the pile driver. They're not supposed to do that. And if you're a casual, you had Corey Graves, you had Michael Cole, like, acting as if they were sick. Corey Graves was like, why are we playing this replay? Don't play this. Stop. Pull it off the screen. And I thought that was
which you get in sport, don't you? You have someone like snap their leg and like, we're not going to show this again.
Yeah. I thought it was such a great touch. I mean, obviously this move has been protected, but in a weird way, like, we've seen people in WWE do the Canadian Destroyer. Rey Mysterio does it. Like, we've seen them do it. It's just I don't know how it's safer. Maybe it is. But seeing the straight up pile driver is not something we've seen in WWE in so long. So having him, that's the move he hits Randy with. Like, it's evil, it's dastardly. And then the thing that makes it even, like, more interesting is when all the doctors and the refs and Gregory Helms and everybody are checking on him and Randy's there groaning, dying. Kevin, like, goes to jump the barricade and then he stops and he just looks and he's like, fuck, what did I just do?
My boy, what did I do to my boy?
Oh well, and then continues on. I was like, oh man, that was like, that just like made everything so good. So
I think
I don't really care. Like, I didn't really care about their feud before, and I think at Crown Jewel having it like a non-match, throwing it out to just brawl, to set up then this angle, to set up the big match, I think that like made me want to watch the match. I'm not really into Randy Orton's wrestling in 2024, but he's still Randy Orton, and he still has the like.
I think doing like a street fight, a no DQ will serve Randy so much better than doing a wrestling match, you know. And I don't think this match is on Survivor Series. I think this is Rumble or Netflix or Saturday night's main event. I think they're going to take Randy out for a while with this injury. I think
it's a few weeks. I figured they'd do it in War Games. I think that'd be so crazy.
I think you can pivot. I think you can do Cody and Owens.
Well, that's the thing. So like Cody's out there and saves Randy, and I don't know really what he was doing, but then he gets in the ambulance with him, and it's like, okay, well, does that set up Cody versus Kevin, or does Kevin just like completely steamroll Randy to then get to Cody for the Rumble, right? So,
I think you really sell this. I think you really sell this angle, and I think something you saw in Drew v. Punk, and I know that was due to circumstances with Punk's injury, but the way that was like elongated because of his injury made the feud that much more hotter. And I think, you know, if you really want to sell this pile driver, you don't have Randy come back in 2 weeks. I think you can have Cody just pissed and seeking revenge, and therefore you get that match at Survivor Series. And then you've got, like, Randy can come back after that. Randy should bring back the punt, you know, the other bad move to get his own back. And you can do Rumble or Saturday night's main event or the Netflix debut as that match. And I did like Cody leaving with Randy as well, because that kind of explains why he's not out there helping Jay and Sammy and all that with the beatdown later. So I thought that worked really well.
No, I really like this. Like, Randy's still a big deal. Like, he's still like a star to so many people, and even casuals know who he is. And like, he's one of those big names that is still active and still looks great. Don't get me wrong. His wrestling has never been the most exciting to begin with, and I just feel since coming back and everything, his matches and recently haven't really moved the needle for me. But you can't deny he's still a star. You can't deny that this was done perfectly that it's so much that I'm like, I don't even care. I need to see this guy wrestle Kevin Owens now because this guy piledrived him. What's he gonna do? He has to get his revenge. I need him to punt Kevin Owens in the head now. I need him to get his Viper, the Apex Predator, shave your head, Randy. Get back to the old way and show Kevin Owens how nasty people can be in WWE. I see Chris Elliott in the chat says he says I could see a way they use this to hold off as far as Mania for Randy and Kevin. So yeah, potentially. I don't know if you'd have Randy off TV that long. I think we're getting this match soon, but it depends if we're going to Kevin Randy first or Kevin Cody, because Cody could easily come out on SmackDown next week and be like, Kevin, what you just did was mean, man. I'm gonna fight you. And
I think also Randy's acting is the best it's ever been. At the moment, I think the intensity in his promo before the brawl, as I said, him storming to the ring, just the selling as well, not your regular stretcher job, but really, really selling that. I think he was great. Sino saying Randy needs to work on his throat chakra as well.
Yeah, it's great.
But
I love this. I'm loving Kevin Owens. Like, this Kevin Owens is way more interesting than whatever kind of babyface, like kind of being funny Kevin Owens. Like, I much prefer the Kevin Steen version where he's nasty and he's got a habit of beating up on his friends and turning on people. So I love that continues in WWE. I think he's also like an ace up the sleeve of like, hey, anytime you need to heat up Kevin Owens, I think he gets the reactions and gets people invested and puts on good matches too. So he really is like a complete package, and loved this angle. And I do want to see. I think I'd rather see Kevin Owens versus Cody before we get to Randy. So I kind of hope what you're suggesting is where they go, because if you're adding Cody versus Kevin at Survivor Series on top of that War Games match, that's already like crazy two matches.
If Cody's not in War Games, if he's not filling out that team, he doesn't have another title challenger, really, does he? So
yeah, he kind of could though be on that team, right? Like
he could be. He's going to be on the show, so it's either you're either doing Owens and Cody or Cody in that War Games match.
Yeah, because The Rock and Cody still, that's a way to have them in the same thing at the same time too. And I don't know if that's the direction for WrestleMania, but it still interests me of like those two characters and Mama Rhodes and everything. But yeah, great like two big angles on SmackDown that really made it up. Like, you'll remember this episode of SmackDown not for just one segment, but for two. I thought that was really, really good. And you've been telling me SmackDown's kind of been shit for the past while, so I always like watch on their YouTube and stuff. But after seeing like everyone rave about these things, I was like, I'll just put on the whole show, and I was really entertained.
It was my favorite episode of wrestling this week. Sure. I had a lot of fun with it. You also had a bit of development with DIY, which I thought was pretty fun. Like, Ciampa's pissed off that they never got their rematch for the tag titles. The Machine Guns have now come in and they're the champions. Johnny is happy to be hanging out with them because they train together. And then Ciampa just murdering Pretty Deadly. Return of Blackheart. I think DIY are starting to find a little bit of personality on the main roster.
Yeah, so obviously we go way back watching these guys, DIY, whether it's together or against each other. I think it's Corey Graves who brings up, or Michael Cole actually, like, hey, this is the most similar to the Blackheart we've seen since like NXT, which was a cool call from Michael Cole. But is it Johnny being like, hey, what are you doing, man? Like, you're so hot-headed, to eventually sees the light and is like, oh, actually, you know what? You're right. And then joins him, I think is a bit more interesting than having them split would just be like kind of a waste. So if we're going towards Motor City Machine Guns, which saying or hearing WWE Tag Team Champions Motor City Machine Guns is still just mind-blowing to me. Fucking amazing. If we're going to a heel DIY versus a babyface Machine Guns, fuck yeah. And add that to War Games, holy shit, we cooking, because that is the match we want to see. And seeing Ciampa just destroy Pretty Deadly was a very big yes boy for me. I love seeing that, and I hope it doesn't lead to DIY splitting again. We've seen it. It was great. We don't need to redo that. But
I think we'll get it eventually, but it's how you get there without it feeling like let's just recreate some black and gold. Because as we saw on Wednesday, recreating some classic black and gold doesn't always pan out too well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm really excited with Machine Guns coming in. They feel like they're a big deal to like the hardcores, and then they're already catching like the new fans. Like, ooh, these guys are fun. These guys seem interesting. So it's good that they're like revitalizing the tag division. We still and then
we had
Private Party.
Sorry,
right?
go for it.
I said Private Party. I mean Street Profits. Street Profits, like them, kind of with a bit of an edge as well. Like, hey, like, welcome to WWE, but we'll show you what the best tag team in WWE is about. So I like that.
So that match is on Friday, which I wonder if we get some sort of interference from DIY, which maybe sets up a 3-way or something like that. Or but yeah, I think Street Profits Machine Gun sounds pretty good.
Oh yeah, that'll be so awesome. I liked the little backstage thing that they had there. Other stuff from SmackDown is the announcement of the Women's United States Championship. I think a long time coming for WWE, especially since NXT got the Women's North American title before this happened to the main roster. So pretty cool, and kind of gives like a reason for some feuds like on SmackDown and stuff. So I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely. I saw some criticisms online of, why do people always give AEW shit for having loads of titles and not WWE? Okay, WWE is going to have, because I imagine we'll be getting a Women's Intercontinental Championship as well, is my theory. I think makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So WWE will have 2 women's singles titles on each brand. And the brands are pretty separate for the most part these days. You have a little bit of crossover, but they do keep a lot of it quite separated. AEW, and that I'm possibly missing some, but has just featured on Dynamite alone, not their other shows, just featured on Dynamite, have had the AEW, and this is for men's singles titles, AEW World Championship, AEW TNT Championship, International Championship, Continental Championship, FTW Championship, ROH World Title, ROH Pure Title, ROH TV Title, the Impact Championship, the AAA Mega Championship, the IWGP Championship, the New Japan Strong Championship, and the IWGP US title.
Did they ever defend the Rev Pro British title? Was that ever defended?
It's probably I mean, I'm including ones that have not necessarily been defended, but featured. Like someone's coming out and this is my title belt. And
then there's got to be way more.
That's 13 off the top of my head that I can think of. And there's probably more than that. I think the women can have 2 titles per brand.
I feel like the AEW's got a few for the women is too, right? Like Mercedes comes out.
They have 2 titles, but then you've also had the NWA Women's Championship on there. You've had the Thunder, like the AAA Women's titles being on there. You've had the New Japan Strong Women's titles being on there. You've got plenty.
They're all props, bro.
Yeah.
They're all it's props. It's whatever. I feel like you don't need a second. Like, I think the US one could be one that does flip. They seem to do that with the women's tag as well. Because if you're going to do that, then you would make a separate tag women's too. Wouldn't you, like, to make it fair? Why would you just have one?
I think you have less tag teams though than single.
You do.
Like, I'd be okay. I'd be okay with the US. I mean, Nick Aldis did say you're going to have it be for the tournament, like on Raw and SmackDown. So
so
maybe it's just a one. I'm happy with a floating title as well. But I don't think it's overkill, especially as we talked about NXT, which was so women heavy, and you had 10 just awesome women in that main event. I think one title is fine to add.
This title is great. This is such a great idea. And like, you should also, like, NXT, Shawn Michaels' playbook is run back, right? Like, so many of his greatest hits he's doing. You easily could do a best of 7 series for the women's US title. Like, that's something that needs to happen. Like, whether you're doing like the ladder matches like we've seen for the men's one down the line, like there's a lot you can do. I don't think adding a US women's title for like the mid card, of the women's division to be bad or excessive. I think if you were to add another one like Intercontinental or something, maybe it would be getting a little silly, but not anywhere near the extreme heights of whatever is going on with AEW and having everyone as a champion. Because if everyone's a champion, then diminishes what a champion is supposed to be. How can we all be the best? Like, what does that mean? What does that tell your audience? Because I think it's cool that AEW like shows other titles from other things, but when you own Ring of Honor, do I need to see that this guy's a pure, or is it a big deal if he wins the pure title or like this title? It's like, it's getting a little silly. But the women's US title for SmackDown, I think that's pretty awesome. You could totally see a bunch of women who get that title.
So let's say it's like, I assume like an 8-woman tournament is normally the kind of thing they do. They don't normally go much more than that. Who can you see competing for this?
You could bring up some people from NXT to make that like their call up or something as well.
Yeah, I'd like at least one NXT star.
Some people that come to mind is like Chelsea Green. I don't know who else on.
I could see
Naomi,
Kairi Sane, maybe Lyra Valkyria.
Sure.
I think Io's challenging Liv for the title.
Right.
So, but yeah, Kairi, Lyra, maybe Raquel, Shayna. Chelsea Green would be a good one to have in there.
I'd have her win it.
Michin. Have Chelsea Green win?
Yeah, I feel like she's
make it the Canadian Championship right away.
Right away. Just change it. Yeah, why not? I think that'd be pretty good. And I again, like, it's showcasing they can't come up with stories that people get interested in to like why some of the mid-card women's matches would make sense or matter. So they've added this to make it have stakes. Like, hey, this is why this match is happening, because it's for this title, or to win a contendership for this title. It's classic wrestling. So I'm not mad at it at all. And women have been killing it in the WWE. So I think it's about time that we got something like this.
Absolutely.
Well, that was SmackDown. That was a pretty good show.
As I said, really enjoyed SmackDown this week. Not necessarily for the wrestling, but just from story elements coming out of it, I thought was really strong.
Something else we could talk about is WWE ID.
Yeah.
The big thing that seems to be taken over, at least I'm seeing all over the social medias of wrestling stuff, is like WWE signing these young talents to these like contracts. We kind of talked about it a bit before, but it's like almost like, hey, we're going to support you and kind of have our name on you and claim on you, so that if anyone else tries to sign you, we get first dibs. Is that kind
Jack
of what
Summit is all ID?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's very the all-in stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
So like, obviously British wrestling fans were quick to jump on this, like, hey, don't let them fool you. They did this to us. They raided us. And it's like, I don't think it's quite the same thing. We're looking at it as fans, and I think I kind of stated last time we discussed this. I think it's wrong that these men and women who day in and day out put their bodies on the line for our entertainment, only for people like me and you to bitch about them week by week and this by this. And there's so many people grinding, sleeping in their car, skipping meals, skipping towns, making towns, traveling, all to try to get noticed, to get signed by an indie fed, TNA, AEW, whatever. So I think it's great that if there is some money going into these people, to be like, hey, don't stop. Keep going after your dream. We got you. We're going to back you a little bit. And if you keep getting really good, who knows? We might even sign you to WWE and NXT and all that.
I guess it's very similar to the Next in Line stuff, where it's,
yes,
we see you're a killer athlete. We've got our eye on you. We're going to help you out here and there. But these are independent wrestlers as well.
Yeah. And that's what was like, I think annoyed some people, probably wrestlers, is you're seeing WWE be like, hey, NIL, next in line. Look at all these people we've signed. It's like, why am I even trying to be an indie wrestler if they're signing volleyball players? Like, why should I kill myself in the indies if they're not even going to care about that, when now they're showing, hey, we also care about that. So,
what I would hope, though, is that it's not just a fast track to WWE. Like, I think they should let them develop on the indies for longer. So when they come in, they've got their own flavor. They're not just going, PC, this is what you're taught and this is how you wrestle. Because I think that's where that's where your Kevin Owens, your Sami Zayns, all them stand out because they were years on the indies and they picked up all the, like you see in New Japan with excursions, right? We're going to send you to Mexico, so you get a bit of that flair added to your arsenal. And I hope it's not like, okay, Jack Summit, for instance, is WWE ID. He's in NXT in 3 months' time. No, like it should be, have him still do the circuit, have him still do WrestleMania weekends where you're working 9 shows a week or whatever, Like I think you should still let them have that, because what separates them from the next in line athlete is being an independent wrestler. And I think it should be, I mean, we've seen that Triple H celebrated that with his NXT. He loved bringing the hot indie names and having them show what they do in that style. So I hope it's a bit more like that. Like, hey, we're watching you. Like, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
A year or so, we'll give you a call.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. We support you. We see what you're doing. It's almost like a music management team. Like, hey, there's a potential that you could be the next big artist that we sign. And just to make sure no one else signs you, we're going to help you create a few albums or create some art that you keep doing your thing. And then if it works out, hopefully you join our shows and you become eventually a character on our shows and train here and et cetera. And again, as long as it's actually something that helps these young talent, then like, sure, as fans, we should totally be supporting. As long as it doesn't become like, so-and-so's a WWE guy and now he's facing an AEW guy. Like, there's going to be so much of that. I'm sure we're going to see. It's like, enough of that. Enough of like, will there be restriction? Okay. Yeah. I'm seeing here from Chris Elliott in the chat. If they do this and there's no restrictions on booking and availability to work on streams and stuff like that, then great. But they promised that wouldn't happen with the UK, and it did. Exactly. So the UK fans and wrestlers are like, hey, don't fool us so quickly.
That being said, like, how much of that was Vince? It's Triple H had this idea of we're going to do this. And then Vince is like, sorry, no, they're not working these things. Like, it might be a bit more of everyone's got the same thought and idea now. So we'll see. But, there's some who's to say Vince will never come back as well.
Don't say that. I feel like this is a good thing for wrestling, and I feel like hopefully this is a good thing. And as long as up and coming people are getting helped out here, like we've seen that in the past, and we hear great stories of wrestlers helping out other wrestlers and buying them gear and this and that. And I think this is just like, hey, we have a lot of money, and why not take care of people who may be our future in this company. I feel like it's casting a bigger net on not just WWE wrestling, but the world of wrestling. Going back to Corey Graves and Michael Cole on commentary, there's a lot more of like, hey, Machine Guns were tag champions everywhere, and everyone grew up watching them in every other company. Like, you wouldn't hear that a few years ago on WWE TV. You would not be hearing them talking about other companies. And Vince always made it like, this is the only place there's wrestling. Everywhere else is not wrestling. This is
doesn't
wrestling.
Exist. Yeah.
Even though we don't call it wrestling, this is the only place you get wrestling. Now it's like wrestling is allowed to be called wrestling, and like there's a whole open world and stuff. So I'm interested in, like, kind of happy if this is what it does and helps wrestlers, because there's so many young wrestlers who are grinding. You hear these promos like sleeping in my car, sleeping in the streets and stuff just to entertain people and hurt my neck and not get paid and stiff on checks and stuff like that. And like, of course, that's part of the grind, but I think in the world has moved on, and
there is a bit of the starving artist makes for something.
Yes, but it's not like WWE's giving these guys like millions of dollars. They're probably like, hey, here's a G for like a month or whatever. We don't know yet, but like, yeah, like the starving artist thing is definitely there. But this is just like, hey, starving artists still need to eat, and like, hey, go buy yourself some.
Stop.
I think it's cool.
Tuna out a can every day,
Yeah, I mean, that would be good for them. Hitting the gym and stuff. But yeah, I think this is cool. And some of the ones we've seen already are not just like signing, big GCW names. They're signing like people that are like really under the radar. And
you have some of the names there.
I did a second ago. Let me take a look. But I think it's really cool that like so far we've done this. We mentioned Jack Cartwheel, Jack Summit. We've seen him at Demand Lucha. He's like our champion right now. So like that's
not anymore.
Cool.
No.
Well, no, it's a unification match at the next show, if I'm not mistaken. I thought Lindsay was the champion. Yeah, I think they're both Like something happened where they have to unify.
You miss one episode of Demand Lucha, and so much happens.
I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, unification match. So like that guy's been killing it, and he's been on like AEW TV. This is where Tony. I think this is like to almost like snake Tony Khan out from like, hey, all those people you don't sign, we're gonna put our stamp on, and like he's gonna have to start signing more people if he wants to keep them. Which could also
please do not sign more.
Yeah,
people.
He's gonna do that. Yeah, he's gonna do that, and like
figure out what you're doing with the ones you got.
Will WWE ID let you still do AEW bookings? I think it will. So
interesting. We'll see.
I had a few others up there. There was some Zeta Steel, Bryce Donovan, Cappuccino Jones, which we've seen on AEW with Taz bringing up. And I mean, the guy's name is Cappuccino Jones. I'm in. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
let's go already.
Future world champ.
Yeah, book it. Fuck, Cappuccino Jones sounds like a WrestleMania main eventer in my opinion.
Great.
Sean Legacy, and like we're recording this Sunday. By next week, there could be a whole others. I saw one that the Rizzler was signed, but unfortunately, it was just a Photoshop. So there's still hope that the Rizzler is signed. But yeah, I think this is great, and hopefully leads to even bigger things in wrestling. So, cool.
Yeah.
Sign Cocaine to a WWE ID deal.
Oh boy.
Did you see that video?
I did see that, yeah. There's so many. There's an army of Canes now.
There's so many Canes. There's Blue
Cane, Gain.
Gay Cane.
Gain's my favorite because he does the fire thing and then he goes.
And then
you got to watch the video for that one. But yeah.
Cocaine is him throwing an 8-ball in the air and then it goes in his face or something like that. Oh. What else could you do? Like Row Cane, where it's like bald cane.
Yeah. Pain and Kane, just a jacked Kane, like a fucking huge,
like the movie.
Yeah, roided up Kane. Yeah.
Joe Row Cane, and it's like a podcaster might help you get elected.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Canes you could do.
Yeah.
We need to see more Canes, but yeah, great stuff.
Shall we move over to AEW?
Yes, let's talk about some other stuff in the world of wrestling. Let's talk about some AEW. We are going to Full Gear in a few weeks. I'm definitely excited about that, but this doesn't look like the most hyped pay-per-view card, I can honestly say. I'm still excited, but on paper, maybe not the most hyped I've been. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I've had to bring up this week's show because I really can't remember much about it.
I just watched it today. I just finally watched it today before recording. So I was like, okay, I guess I should actually watch this. And I didn't hate Dynamite by any means. There were some things that I didn't like that we can definitely get into. Some things I did like is the show starting off with the first like official, all three of them, the Hurt Syndicate showing up with the new theme, which I think is West Side Gun, which was awesome. This is already one of the better AEW themes kicking here.
Nice.
Like this group kicking off to a great start. Like just the look of the three of them in the suit. MVP continuing the business card thing and the social media thing of like, hey, do you own a suit? Is like one of my favorite things going. So they've got something. Like he looks like a super villain with these guys, like the Kingpin with his two like wrestlers. And I love this being in AEW already. It seems fresh for AEW TV. Even if you've not really like even watched them in WWE, it's like, wait, who are these guys? Because MVP sounds very good on the microphone.
Oh, he's awesome. And so Shelton's been killing it in ring. And I'm curious to see how Bobby is in AEW. And I think Swerve's a really interesting opponent to have. Stylistically, like the guy is still just a athletic beast. And I mean, look at him. He should be. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think there's definitely room for a Bobby Lashley. And
I'm not a big Bobby Lashley fan, but like this has my interest. He looks the part. I feel like without some of the WWE handcuffs, having a match with Swerve is the perfect thing. He should beat Swerve. Whether or not there's some things with Swerve, like eventually trying to join them or something, I'm not quite sure. But I think this match could really be good, like a real proving ground for Bobby.
It could be a way to introduce the fourth member, whether that's a Leo Rush or something like that, like some sort of schmoz finish to have Hurt Syndicate win. because I think Bobby's got to win his what I assume is his debut match. But Swerve's the top guy that you want to somewhat protect. So whether you do that, but yeah, it's definitely the match I'm probably most curious about on this card, just how it looks and how Bobby looks and everything. But I think so far this Hurt Syndicate thing has been really working.
Yeah, it's such a like fresh thing for AEW TV for them. And again, I'm not a Bobby guy, but I'm like, okay, I kind of want to see how this match looks with Swerve, who's been having a fantastic year, like such a good year, and he's one of the best guys they've got. So I think this match could actually be really good. So that is something that has my interest for Full Gear. Something else that happened on Dynamite was the 6-man tag without honor, which at first I kind of groaned like, all right, more Jericho. I thought the match was kind of fun. There was some ridiculous stuff in it, but eventually ends with what the conglomeration and Jericho continued to feud over. I hate how they count Jericho's now a 9-time world champion. I'm like, come on, does that really count? Do people?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this company, the Ring of Honor Championship is like your 5th most.
I get it; it's title. A heel thing to do as well, like calling him the Nueve or whatever. But it's like, all right, yeah,
he needs a new gimmick. Yeah, we see this. It's 3 months past. I need a new nickname.
Yeah, I didn't mind that match actually. I thought it was pretty fun because I'm in a positive mode of wrestlers that I usually don't like that are interesting me, and that's Big Bill. Big Bill.
Okay. Oh, he's been great.
Improving so much that like I could see this guy even getting further from like in another year. Who's to tell? Like he looks the part. He looks awesome.
But I think he was there with the Ricky Starks tag. And I feel this has been a step back. I feel you could have, I mean, whatever's going on with Ricky Starks, like why you didn't, if you want to write Ricky off TV, you should have done that blow off between those two.
Well, it sounded like Ricky didn't want to do it, right? That's the story going.
I'm paying you. You do it. I'm paying you. You're a character on my show that I pay you. You do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, and I think Bill's beat was great then. I think this learning tree thing's really stopped his momentum, and he's struggling to find that again. But I agree.
He's on TV a lot.
As a big guy, he's pretty good, and I imagine we'll eventually probably get him turned on Jericho or whatever. And I think there's definitely a good babyface run in there for Big Bill. I just feel it could have started a year ago.
I think I'd like him as a heel. Like he's also come into like wrestling a lot better, considering like, we've watched his whole career in NXT, and he wasn't always known for his wrestling. But I think he's found himself like being funny, being like a bit of a character, and getting the wrestling down pat. And he's in such great shape. So I don't know. He's become kind of like, again, he's in this dumbass Jericho thing. Both him and Brian Keith. But the plus side is, hey, you're on TV. Like, hey, at least you're actually in something, because there's so many other guys who are just not being used and not being seen on TV and that we're not talking about. So I guess that's the plus from this. But yeah. I actually didn't mind that 6-man tag. It was kind of fun.
And I assume we're getting Ishii Jericho at Full Gear,
which is what the we'll talk about Ishii. Maybe he's wrestling another match that'll redeem himself for that one. But there was a moment in that match where it's like I think Jericho like had to help the superplex spot, and the commentary tried to like Jericho was trying to like save himself. It was like Jericho saw that Ishii was almost gonna get injured, and Jericho was like, while taking the move, was like, actually, hold on, I'm gonna help you there briefly, which was a nice little thing. So, like him or not, Jericho, the in-ring vet helping. I was gonna say the youngins, but I'm pretty sure it was Ishii. So, don't know who's older there.
I mean, Jericho's the veteran to Ishii, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Other stuff that happened: Adam Cole taking on Malachi Black, a NXT rematch. The commentary let us know that it's
Takeover Philadelphia.
Yeah, 6-0 is the back and forth here. Malachi Black, Aleister Black has pinned Adam Cole or beaten him 6 times, and Adam Cole has never beaten him. So they're using NXT lore for AEW here again. And then they had a match. I didn't necessarily think it was the worst match I have ever seen, but it looked like there was a few missteps in it there. but then it had a lot of people talking with what happened after the match with Malachi Black and Adam Cole doing the curtain call and blowing a kiss to the fans like, thank you. I love you. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And walks off. And everyone's like, yo, is he done? Is he leaving? Is he gone? What was that? What was the deal with that? Only for him to put out a video the next day being like, what's wrong with everybody? I'm not leaving. Why did you take it that way? Why would you think that?
Why are you always on my case? I can't just every time I have a match, people, he's hurt. He's leaving. Yeah, because you're a fucking douche, man. Like, why? Like, sorry. This guy, he's had 5 matches this year, 5 singles matches, I believe. He's won 3 of them. One of them, he didn't tap out, he passed out. And then his one pinfall, maybe the first time he's been pinned in years, for all I know.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll let him pin me.
Yeah, he sacrifices himself.
I'm going to sacrifice myself because I'm...
Absolve me of all my sins.
You. And then you do this weird thing. Like, you try to be an Undertaker-esque character. Can you imagine Undertaker then just giving a hug and a kiss to his opponent after?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. I'm so done with Malachi Black. I don't want him back in WWE either. Just go to MLW, leave us alone. I'm over you. And I didn't like the match particularly. Adam Cole's just lost his I love Adam Cole. He's great, but his aura's just gone. I think this MJF feud has been death. Just it's all over the place. He looks like a Simpsons character. I don't know if he's suffering with jaundice or what, but he's yellow. He pulls down his knee pad and he's got the tiniest pale knee I've ever seen. And
spray tan over the knee.
It's like just these last 2 weeks, it was like this Simpsons character against this bright red Australian. Like I thought my TV setting colors were just all over the place. And then here against the guy just smothered in tattoos. I'm just like, it's weird visually. I don't want to body shame, but like, I think Adam Cole's aura always overcame that. I think like his height, his lack of being jacked or whatever. I always thought his aura made him feel bigger than he is. And his aura is just not there anymore, at least to me. And it's like, really unfortunate. And I like the guy. He's a fantastic wrestler, great promo, but something is missing. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing because he's had a couple of like really, a really serious ankle injury, some like really bad concussions, and talks of like waking up with panic attacks in his sleep and that kind of stuff. Like he's come back from a lot, and maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe it's just bad booking with him coming back as this babyface against MJF, who's not there, who's sending in very pre-recorded videos from his lair, which just seems so out of place in AEW. Maybe it's a combination of all the above. And then Malachi just fucking around doing whatever he does. This is just strange.
I want to like look at it like the glass half full is like, okay, like we do know these guys have had history. We do know they came up. There was the NXT time. They kind of mentioned it on commentary, like, hey, these two have wrestled quite a few times and they know each other. And then after the match, I mean, he sacrifices himself. He doesn't want to attack his knee at the beginning. He doesn't want to like hurt his leg because he knows that was the injury. And then he sacrifices himself. And then after the match, he hugs him. So it's like, okay, so you are being a baby face, but last week you like kicked him in the head to promote this match. So it's just a little backwards. It's like, I could get past the, hey, like we hugged it out because we're actually boys and we had a match there. Okay, cool. But you've never presented yourself that way. And no. I think I could probably even let that go. But the fact that this guy has to put out a video the next day, almost like talking.
Woe is me.
Why do you guys keep talking about me? Like, stop talking about me. But also, let me talk about like what it's just weird. It's so
weird.
It sounds like you're talking down to the fans of like leave me alone mentality. And I'm sure this guy gets crazy fans and who knows what kind of messages and all sorts of things. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, like I'm someone watching this, like, hey, why did you do that on TV?
It just felt so self-indulgent. I hated the finish. Like,
yeah,
they didn't make it like, if they made it that, you know, Malachi's legs were just shot and he couldn't stand up and he was unable to defend himself anymore. And he's like, do it. Okay. But it was just up. You kicked out of my finisher. Might as well die now.
finger poke of doom.
Like,
yeah, just pin me. I'm done. I don't want to. That's how his whole run here has felt. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what? Like, instead of sending videos out to people explaining this, can you send a video out explaining why you don't take pins? Like, ever, other than like this weird finish? Like, is there a reason why? Is this in your contract? Is there a reason why this run has just not hit whatsoever?
Think we've had the likes of Bryan Danielson take multiple pins. CM Punk being pinned clean when he's been in the
many times.
Hangman Page, Swerve, like so many guys who are top guys who put over people clean. And Malachi Black, what the fuck has he done? He's been a trios
I'm a
champion.
fan of the guy, but like, what is going on?
But no, what has he done in this company, you know, to justify that? And
yeah,
okay, if this was his NXT run, sure, because he was booked as a megastar. He was booked as a top guy in that company who lost very rarely. Sure. You can't get away with this on this because you mainly wrestle on Collision. You're a trios act. You're not a single star because you haven't been presented as one.
But like, what's the disconnect there? Because like, I feel like when he came in, we still had Cody, right? That was the first feud. We went to that Grand Slam. And it's like, I'm pretty sure maybe Cody beat him then. Like, that's one of the rare times he was actually pinned.
In a tag match.
Okay. Wait, really? I thought they had like a few singles matches.
I mean, so you had Malachi beats Cody Rhodes on Dynamite. He then defeats Brock Anderson, Lee Johnson, Dustin Rhodes, beats Cody again. And then, okay, there's Saturday Night Dynamite where Cody finally beats Malachi Black.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, yeah, we had Full Gear was the tag match with Cody and Pac defeating Andrade and Malachi.
Yeah. That was it's like, what's this run been? Like, what's the deal? I think maybe him putting out these videos makes me want to ask more questions of like, what's in your headspace here? Why are you doing these weird things? Why has this run been a bust? Is it your fault? Is it someone else's fault? Because I think even though being in the House of Black, he still has a lot of fans. He still gains a lot of new fans. Like, people are interested in this character, these wrestlers. They're good. They're solid. They're great. They're fantastic. They have awesome matches. However, like, is there another step? Can this guy be projected? Can this guy be raised and elevated to like a main event level guy? And has he not been put in that position because of, you know, booking? Has he not been put in this position because of himself? I want to know, like, what is his gripe? Because he sounds so angry at the fans for wondering if he was leaving, if it was some sort of like goodbye, when he's like, no, it wasn't that at all. And what's with people thinking I'm leaving all the time and this and that? And when it's like, okay, then can you explain what the deal is? Because there's something going on, whether it's you don't like losing, which people online, you know, make those rumors up, and then you watch TV and you're like, it might be true. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I like this guy. I love watching him wrestle. And I think this is just taking away from like good shit. Like, why are you doing this?
And
like,
it's okay. So yeah, I'm just doing research on this. So the only time that I can see that in a singles match he's been pinned and not just, you know, passing out or like falling on his sword, shield, whatever in this case, was in August of 2021 when Cody beats him. Sorry, no, October of 2021 when Cody beats him. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think he's taken a pin, which is crazy. And this isn't, if you had this as part of his character, if this was a Goldberg-like streak, Undertaker-like streak, fine. But it's never part of the story. There's a massive disconnect. And I think so many people have picked up on it, which I don't know how else you could have read Wednesday's Dynamite other than that's his last match. Then he's just in a trios match against the conglomeration on Saturday. It's crazy.
Yeah. Again, I like this guy. I think I'm not like writing him off, but with all these videos, this is not the first time he's done this, right? Where he's had to like he's tried to explain himself. And again, I'm sure who knows the kind of stuff that gets thrown at him in social media and this and that. But I just think that like he's doing it. He's only hurting himself by the things that have taken place. Putting out a shorter, maybe a better tone of the video, like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I love AEW. He didn't make it sound like that either. He's just like,
no,
yeah,
he was insulting us in a way. Like, why? Why are you always thinking these things?
Yeah, it's just like the second they stop bothering you, brother, which will come soon if this keeps happening, is like, come on, like you're good. I don't know. I feel like
I'd say just cut bait with this guy. Like,
yeah,
save some pennies and get rid.
It's almost like, hey, what if you were put in the main event position? Is that something that you want? Is that something that you've been waiting for and feel like will help elevate yourself, the company, the fan, like help bring some, I don't know. Is there a time that they pulled the trigger on this guy and maybe that's what he's waiting for? I'm not sure. But just as a fan watching, you kind of do scratch your head like, hey, has this guy ever been pinned? Why did he pass out in that match? Why did he sacrifice himself in this match? Why did he hug the guy after this match when last week he kicked the guy in the head? Is he turning babyface? There's a lot of questions. Just bizarre. I'm not writing him off, but weird. Very weird. I love his theme song too, like that screaming goat thing. I'm joking. I love it. It gets me hyped. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this fucking screaming goat music. I'm saying it like I'm hating it. I swear, it's a fucking banger. It gets you like amped up. So I don't know. I'm not writing him off yet, but this was a weird and annoying thing just as a fan. Like, and the video, like sometimes saying nothing at all maybe would have left people interested in your character, and maybe you use it for your advantage and do a segment on next week's show. I don't know. Is he even going to be featured on the pay-per-view? Like, very bizarre.
I'm completely writing him off. He can kick rocks.
I wouldn't even be. I totally think fans will agree with you on that one. I think I'm in the like, hey, I'm not done with him, but like, man, you're making it hard to support you.
What else we have on the show? We had the return of Powerhouse Hobbs teaming up with Ricochet to defeat the Don Callis family of Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Really happy to see Hobbs back. I think this is the right move. You know, have him just break away from the family, come back as a babyface. It's good stuff. I feel they could have really hyped up the mystery opponent more throughout the show. It felt a little throwaway, and I think definitely when numbers are the way they are, and you have competition with, you know, NXT and news coverage, I think wrestling fans love a hook and a mystery, and I think they could have built this up a lot bigger than they did. But overall, happy to see Hobbs back.
Yeah, I forgot how fucking big this guy is. I guess he's in the ring with like smaller guys, and I'm like, oh man, this guy is meat. And he got a pretty good reaction, and the meat chants were back and everything. So yeah, I kind of forgot about him. So I think it's cool that we've inserted him back into this. He's easily could be a baby face for a while. I think he fits more of a heel because he's just so big and can throw dudes around. But I was cool to see him
smirk. He always does.
I hated that Ricochet pinned Takeshita, but I guess it's to set up the singles match, hopefully, I guess, at Full Gear, which should be good. But this match had some fun stuff in it with the four of them going back and forth. Like Ricochet and Takeshita, the one-on-one should be awesome if we just got a little teaser of it in this tag match. Because Takeshita is my favorite thing going just in wrestling right now. He's so exciting to watch. So I'm hoping that's the match we get. And then another match, which I assume is added to Full Gear with the return of Will Ospreay, who does feel like a pretty big deal in AEW. I think the only reason we're getting this feud right now is Ospreay and Fletcher are legit boys. And you know that even though guys like to tag with each other, I think it's more fun for them to actually wrestle each other. So I think that match will just be one of the best matches on the show, hands down, just because it's Ospreay and whatever. But it's funny because I think they're just waiting. Like they're still like, Ospreay, we can't just use you as the champ right away. We can't just put you in with Mox right away. We can't just do this right away. So they're waiting. And it's like he gets still the crazy reactions. He's treated like one of their big stars. He's treated like he's the champion, and he's not even the champion right now. So absolutely, you can see it. Like there's not the crowds they're getting at Dynamite aren't that loud because they're not that big lately. But when he comes out, they really react. So a kind of a hit and miss episode of Dynamite. There was some good wrestling. There was some returns and stuff, but nothing necessarily blew me away. on paper, the Full Gear show doesn't look like as exciting.
I mean,
but
I think it's telling we haven't even talked about the world title match.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm really not feeling it. I'm really not into.
Love Orange Cassidy. I'm already so bored of this story with Mox. I've said I don't need another Mox title reign. I kind of think they need to raise the stakes, and we all assume in that briefcase, in the, what is it, Halliburton briefcase or whatever, we all assume it's the world title, but Orange should kind of grab it on the go home episode, open it up thinking the title's going to be there, and it's just the head of Bryan Danielson.
Oh no, his head's looking fine and shaved in a hot tub in their backyard.
He shaved his head off? Did
you see this? Bree
I haven't.
put a photo saying date night Friday night on her Instagram story, and Bryan has shaved his head and shaved his beard.
Oh,
the GOAT no more. I mean, he's still the GOAT, but you know what I mean. So does this mean he's secretly signed a new deal with AEW when this injury is dealt with? Or
I see him coming back to AEW. Yeah, I think
you do. I think it's the only saving grace of this storyline with Mox, and part of me is like, I think they're doing it and they don't know he's coming back, but I don't think he needs to.
My gut is saying he goes back to AEW,
at least for just like a few more years, and then go back to the Fed. Like it's fine. It's fine. But I think it would be really good for him to come back, because I'm not interested in this story. Even like Darby's feels like, what is Darby doing at the pay-per-view? It should have been Darby versus Mox, I think. But
other stuff on the show. I actually, for a short match, I thought Jamie Hayter and Penelope Ford was pretty good. I thought Ford looked pretty decent here, considering she's been off for quite some time. I was pretty impressed with that match, and would actually Jamie Hayter is someone you really need to be using in a more prominent role on the show. But I think after this week, I could see at least TBS stuff for Ford, maybe.
You know what? I totally agree. I was almost like writing this match off, and I thought Ford was out there to impress, to kind of show like, hey, don't forget about me. And if you did, look what I have to offer. Because obviously Hayter coming back is a big deal, and she's a star, and they got to rehab her to get her back into that slot. But seeing the Hayter raid on Ford was pretty good. But Ford with that matrix into the cutter. I've seen her do this a few times, but it's so impressive. So like, good for her.
That was a beautiful sequence between the two there.
Yeah. So like, good for her, because I think she could have just had a match where she gets buried. Like, she got beat pretty quickly, but I think she got some stuff in that made people be like, oh, okay, there's a reason why you're still being featured and stuff. So that was pretty good. The Statlander versus Mercedes stuff is weird. I'm not into Mercedes really at all in AEW. I love seeing her. I love the Uranagi on the car, though. That
looked good. The stuff with Camille just feels really quick. Having these, like, it just feels, it feels like a repetition of Wardlow and MJF just done badly. I thought the whole car angle was just, it felt like WWE at its worst. I thought here.
I didn't really care. I love
said it many times. Mercedes can't talk. She shines when she's wrestling, and she barely wrestles. So this character's just dying for me, which is such a shame, because at one point Sasha was my favorite wrestler, like male or female. I loved Sasha Banks, and just not feeling it at all anymore. Like,
maybe if the babyface turn comes again, maybe it'll be better. I don't know. We thought that when she was babyface, and then
she's always been unlikable as a babyface. Really?
Yeah, it's not really been working for me in AEW. Like, I haven't really cared or been invested in her matches. Even nothing's really hit. When like Statlander and Willow outshined you in that match like a month ago.
Oh yeah.
And then they turned Statlander face to face Mercedes. She's probably losing to Mercedes. It's kind of all backwards. Where Statlander's like organically become a star. Like these AEW organic stars that didn't have to lose to people like Mercedes and stuff is kind of backwards. But other stuff, Hangman and Jay White. You know what? I wasn't that interested in this feud, but then kind of seeing where it's going, I'm kind of like, I bet they'll have a really good match at the pay-per-view. So I'm in.
I really enjoyed their first match, and I'm sure this one's gonna be good as well.
I just love Hangman. I can't, no matter what you do, I just love him so much. He can burn someone's childhood home down, and I'm probably still gonna. He's just so entertaining. Like the fact that his match graphics over time change. He looks more like manic and crazy, and he's the deranged old like psychopath cowboy with the stash, and now he's limping around. Like, he's just got so many layers. He understands wrestling. He's one of the best going. He's so interesting and entertaining. Even if he's in some sort of mid-card feud, I'm interested. So I actually think this match will be pretty good.
We also had the announcement of the Continental Classic, I kind of put out a tweet earlier in the week of what I think the brackets could be. I wonder if you've got any thoughts of who you'd like to see in it this year.
Yeah, Shelton Benjamin should be involved in this thing just because we get some good wrestling matches. Obviously, so sorry, Okada has to wrestle in it to defend the title? Is that how it works? Okay, so Okada's in that. I guess Takeshita, so we could finally get to that match, maybe is like the final outcome of this, and then join those two titles together. I'm not sure if that's something we could go.
If Takeshita's still champion, right? Because Ricochet could take that off him. But.
True. Yeah. I don't know.
I've got for Gold League, I think Okada, Shibata, because you could do that match again.
Oh, please don't have that open.
And you need a couple of pin eaters there. So Okada, Shibata, Samoa Joe, Beast Mortis, Hangman, and Kyle O'Reilly.
I have some thoughts about Samoa Joe, and if Samoa Joe's coming back, it's to fight Jon Moxley. It's not to be in the Continental Classic. I think he would be positioned as like, oh, hey, you killed Danielson. I'm coming back to save AEW. I think that would be your World's End pay-per-view.
I like that, and that actually feels kind of fresh.
Samoa Joe. I think it'd be fair bet to have Samoa Joe show up at the end of Full Gear as like the white knight for AEW to face Moxley, and that is a fresh matchup for World's End. I think, like, as much as you're saying Samoa Joe in these other matches, fucking great, but I think he should be used for Moxley.
And then Blue League, I thought Takeshita, Brody King, Jay White, Kyle Fletcher, Shelton Benjamin, Will Ospreay. And you can have Okada v Hangman in the Gold League final. And then similar to last year with a three-way in the B block, have Takeshita, Ospreay, and Jay White. And Okada Takeshita final is what I would go with. I think you have some fresh matches there. You've got good workers like Mortis who can lose every match but have killers.
The Beast Mortis.
The Beast Mortis.
Oh man, yeah. Put him in that thing. Where was he on TV? Come on, we need more.
Collision, probably.
You know what? Like AEW, I'm saying I'm not that excited for the pay-per-view, but as soon as we're there, as soon as the show starts, I think the wrestling still really hits for me. Some of their stories and characters they lack on like following up on or setting things up properly. They really like drop the ball when it comes to creative of characters and stories, but when they do hit, it hits really well. And I feel like the matches that are lined up, there could be some good stuff coming in the next little while. So I didn't hate this episode of Dynamite, but I'm still not feeling like, oh wow, like I watched it today. Today is Sunday. I didn't have an itch to watch it since Wednesday. I mean, Wednesdays because we were watching NXT, to be fair. So, but I was literally like, oh shit, I didn't even watch it. I better watch that today. So it was like, they gotta do a lot to win me back on my Wednesday night viewing. But overall, we got MJF, Adam Cole, or Roderick Strong. That whole storyline could just fuck off. I love MJF. I'll never dislike MJF, but like
we know we're getting the Roddy and Cole.
We need to move on.
Well out of it. Yeah,
him with Don Callis, and then the other guy who was standing there who gave him the ring. Like there's stuff with that. I don't know. It's whatever. Jay White Hangman, that should be a good match. Private Party versus the Outrunners versus two other teams. I think that's pretty cool that the Outrunners are going to be featured in this match, the four-way with Private Party. I think they're like pretty over right now. I'm not expecting them to win, but I think it's a smart move. Like, hey, go while the iron is hot with these guys right now. At least have them on a pay-per-view wrestling. And then maybe the Acclaimed and someone else added into that match, possibly. Mercedes and Statlander as well. Swerve, Bobby Lashley, Jack Perry, Daniel Garcia. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And then Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy. And then we imagine Ricochet, Takeshita, and Ospreay Fletcher is added as well. So you know what? Pretty decent looking card. And I think a few of those matches will definitely be standouts.
Yeah. Anything else before we close up today?
Yeah, I know the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight is coming up soon. Is that like next week?
That's on Friday, I believe.
Yeah, very interested in seeing that. I think a lot of people are like, hey, what will Mike Tyson look like? Is this a quote unquote fight, or is this just another propaganda machine to get some pay-per-view buys? We'll see. I think regardless, everyone wants to see a knockout. Like from either way here, I mean, it would be so great to see Mike Tyson deliver a knockout. So the interest is there for like this generation to watch an older fighter fight.
Being on Netflix as well, I think that this is going to get a lot of watches.
Yeah. You see the video Jake Paul posted today. He used AI to make it look like him and Mike Tyson are always making out. Bizarre.
Weird guy. Bizarre. We've had some matches announced for Wrestle Kingdom as well. So I'm just going to run through these and then get your opinion after.
Yeah.
Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Evil. That was announced a while ago. Intergalactic Jet Setters of Kevin Knight and Kushida versus Ichiban Sweet Boys of Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita. Catch 22 TJP and Francesco Akira. And Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors and Driller Maloney for the Junior Heavyweight Tag Championship. We've got Ren Narita versus Jeff Cobb versus Ryohei Oiwa. I butchered that for the TV Championship. And then, which, I mean, this is probably giving away a Full Gear result here, but in a winner takes all match, the International Championship and the Never Openweight Championship, Konosuke Takeshita versus Shingo Takagi.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, like New Japan, you've had a hell of a year. And when I mean hell of a year, it's not been a good year. It's not been the most interesting. And I feel like a lot of your hardcores maybe drift off a little bit. But this has some matches that already sound pretty good. I mean, specifically Takeshita and Shingo. I think that is a big match in the Tokyo Dome. Those two are gonna just smash each other. They're gonna definitely try to give a match that we deserve. And if I'm not mistaken, the next night, the winner of that faces Ishii in a singles match. So you're possibly getting Takeshita versus Shingo and Takeshita versus Ishii. So, which is also awesome for Shingo getting a big match at the Dome, Ishii finally getting a big match at the Dome, and fucking Takeshita finally being treated like the star he should be, especially over in Japan. So, those sound really interesting to me. There's other stuff right now in New Japan that's not so great, but I'm looking at it kind of positive. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shota Umino on night 1 on the 4th. Shooter might not be ready, but I think this is a big test, and hopefully we get a really good match out of these two.
It's difficult, isn't it? You've got to do this. You've got to just try with someone. Mm-hmm. It's a huge spot to fill. For both of them. Both of them have never headlined this show. So yeah, it's a big deal. I think the match could be great, but it's not necessarily a marquee match that's selling tickets. But hopefully it really I'd take this over something with Sonada or something with Naito or whatever. Yeah. At least it's fresh, and we're looking forward. And we're trying to make someone here. So I'm cool with that.
Absolutely.
Also on the card, Finley versus Suji for the global heavyweight, and Dookie versus El Desperado.
Okay, and then last Sunday we were talking, but we were recording too early to kind of see what was to come later that day with the return of Kenny Omega to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh, sorry, he returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh, okay. Tony, how did you let that happen? Kind of weird. However, I stand Kenny Omega, and New Japan Kenny Omega has awoken the fans worldwide because they have come out of the woodwork. They're like, oh, wait, what's that? He's back. Okay, sorry. Kenny Omega's back in New Japan. Drop everything. He's facing Gabe Kidd, or at least it's not official, but it looks to be like Gabriel Kidd versus Kenny Omega will be announced for night 1 at Wrestle Kingdom, which, Gabriel Kidd in the last year, specifically promo-wise, I think back to the Eddie Kingston stuff, has been superb. He's been the ultimate troll of wrestling in New Japan, being the ultimate gaijin, just talking mad shit. His wrestling has improved, but I've not watched enough to maybe be like, hey, that's the guy that should face Kenny Omega. But if New Japan picks that guy to be the one to face him, I think they must have a lot of trust in him for this. So not necessarily where I thought they would go with Kenny Omega being back in New Japan, but I am interested in this. And so far, the build has been kind of interesting. They're doing the backstage stuff, like they're doing the Kevin Owens Cody stuff, where there was a brawl and they filmed it and they're talking about it.
I wonder if this is a bit of a pivot, because we were talking last week about it feels like the Young Bucks are being built up to return as baby faces, but then there's that
can't be
weird overhanging thing with Kenny. And maybe this is just a bit of a pivot. We're not going to the Kenny Young Bucks feud.
I hope not. I mean, so the Bucks are scheduled to wrestle on Wrestle Dynasty versus a team to be determined. Now, they were clearly going for Tanahashi and Kenny Omega for some reason. And I mean, they could still go for that match. That could still be announced because that is the second night. That's the Wrestle Dynasty is the second night. But for night one, I would definitely see them adding Kenny versus Gabriel Kidd. And I mean, like, Kenny's my guy, so I'm definitely interested in that. Has the like weirdest, like, wait, really? Like, that's where you're going with this? But again, if they're doing that, I think they have big plans for Gabriel Kidd. They realized the mouth on that guy runs a million miles an hour, and his wrestling has somewhat improved from what I've seen. I do need to kind of watch more. So New Japan doing their best with like 2 front feet forward of like, hey, we need to push these guys. So putting Shooter in the main event, he better wear red boots to that match for his dad. If his dad helps him win,
Red Shoes can't referee that match. He
fucking will. He fucking will, and he's gonna make sure his kid wins. That's some smart booking, New Japan. Red Shoes finally does it. Becomes a heel, and I mean, he's a heel to some. He's a babyface to me, but yeah, I'm not watching. Like, I know they're in like tag league, and there's some stuff last week. I've kind of not super caught up, but Wrestle Kingdom always has my attention. It's such a cool like venue, such a cool show, and some of the stuff so far announced, I'm like, okay, that does sound interesting. So you have Takeshita, you have Kenny. I'm interested.
All right, is that it?
Yes. Some other things I saw was Bloodsport announcing Josh Alexander versus Speedball. So a little bit of Canadian flair being added. And those two have had matches before, but in Bloodsport, I'll definitely be watching that one whenever it happens. But yeah, lots and lots of stuff always. And we're here to talk about it.
Braden, did you vote on the poll?
Did you vote? Oh, wait, I thought you were talking about another voting. I didn't this week because I'm in Canada. Did I vote on the poll? Wait, is it too late? Can I vote?
I'm about to announce, but
no, wait, stop.
Okay,
please, I need to vote.
Everyone in the chat, you have 30 seconds to vote because we need to record this show this week. We are kind of double recording to kind of bank some shows as we're going to Full Gear, and I'm going back home for a couple of weeks. So we'll be recording whatever event this is this week. So get your votes in, and I'm going to announce in just a moment.
Okay, which one had the Sting Squadron? Wrestle War 92?
Yes.
Okay, I'm voting for that one. I'm voting for Wrestle War 92. Simply because of this Sting Squadron War Games match. Okay, I voted.
Which means it's a tie.
Oh my God.
So between Wrestle War 92 and WCW Fall Brawl 1996. You all want some WCW right there.
Okay. Brandon from New Jersey voted for Heroes of Wrestling. That wasn't even part of the tadpole. He just added that one on there. So Brandon ruined the whole voting.
I'm going to remove the losers, and I'll announce it on Twitter later tonight. So I'm just going to leave the 2 WCW shows up, and give us your votes, and we'll let you know later today.
Absolutely. Join the Facebook group if you haven't. Follow us on the socials. We mentioned Blue Sky. We're trying that out. We're still on Twitter. We're still on Instagram, and we are on patreon.com/Poisonrana to hear all the other shows that we do. We do a whole lot, including episode 3 of The Champ is Here. Please go check it out and let us know your thoughts on the epic reign of terror of John Cena. But as always, we'll be back, I think, next week. Time may be adjusted because next Sunday, our friend Benno from Grapple is visiting the 6 again. And we thought we'd take him to one of our favorite breweries here, Blood Brothers. And then the day I was looking to kind of hang out with possibly like Pollock and Way and everything, they have a wrestling show going on. So Northern Crown Wrestling, I think this is their 3rd ever show featuring Josh Alexander and a few others. So I think we might go to this show next Sunday. So judging on that, we're going to try to convince Benno to do a Poisonrana, possibly before or after that show. So follow for updates, but we will be doing a show in some capacity next Sunday. But we'll be back on Tuesday on Post Wrestling for a new Up Next. So
yes,
lots of shows. Appreciate everyone out there. As always, you can follow myself, Braden Herrington, Twitter, Instagram, all that at the Brady.
And I am at Davie Portman.
That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And I love you.
Ahoy!
Poisonrana.